So our next speaker, Rebecca Minkoff, has built a global brand. But before I actually introduce her, I want you to watch this.
The one tip I give everyone is to be persistent and to work your ass off. I think they're going to bleep that out. But you have to be willing to put in all the hard work, especially when you're building something in the beginning. There's no one else to fall back on. And, you know, I worked nights, I worked weekends, I worked holidays. I stopped eating my Thanksgiving dinner to fix our crash website. So all those things you have to put in the beginning and work really hard. And even now, still, there's no vacation. So work your butt off.
Well, I'm not too certain if they actually bleeped it out, but I think it's okay. I think we have a PG 16 rated R kind of group, but yeah, it is absolutely about working your ass off. Rebecca Minkoff, she has built a global brand for women with 3 U.S. national retail stores, 8 international locations, and distribution in over 900 stores worldwide. Her handbags, clothing, and accessories designated as affordable luxury have made her hugely successful. Yet, she challenges the status quo of celebrity and offers the simplicity of a woman who is unafraid of hard work. In fact, she's fearless. Her new book drops this June. I can't wait to read it. And she joins us online tonight, ready to share gems on doing what we need to do to think big and fare less. So I want you guys to drop your emojis in the chat. Welcome, Rebecca, in true Jamaican, West Indian, global style, because we do have a global community. Rebecca, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, and I wish I could be in Jamaica with you. That's a place I've been dying to go. So as soon as this is over, I will see you in Jamaica.
We are going to hold you to that, Rebecca. I promise you. But as soon as everything, opens up really, and you can come and enjoy, we would love nothing more than to absolutely host you here in Jamaica. But let me just take the opportunity and tell you just congratulations from one woman to the next. I know we have a lot of participants who are just very proud to see women doing big things and for being fearless. But is it that you're fearless, or is it that you have your days of anxiety but you do it anyway?
That's the truth. So I don't know of a single person that's fearless. And I called the book Fearless as sort of a thought starter, because we have to learn to take the fear, set it aside, and don't let that be the thing that stops us on our. So yes, I'm fearful, but I do it anyways, and that makes me fearless. And that's what can make you fearless.
Were you always like that, Rebecca? I mean, it's amazing to see, women at the top of their game. They're expanding, they have vision, they're on their mission, they're stepping in their purpose. But for many women who are starting off, some might be our participants who may not be at that level yet. Were you always like that, or did you find it at some point in your life?
I think that the way that my mother raised me, which was anything I wanted in my life, I had to work for it. Starting as a young girl, she would keep a ledger in the kitchen, and if I wanted something, I had to earn it. If I wanted to go to camp, I had to fill out the forms. If I wanted to go to dance, everything that went throughout my life was something that she made me earn. And so when I moved to New York at 18 with 2 suitcases and nowhere to live, I did have this, I was scared, but I was excited, and I felt like, well, I've had to figure out a lot of things in life. I can figure this out.
Right. No, one of our second guest speaker, Orly Marley, actually spoke about that. She said she was trilingual, she had her degree, but then she ended up in a place where she didn't have anything, and so she had to start as a male woman, and then she kind of worked her way up, took on other jobs, was like the classic team player until people started noticing how great she was, and then she started to move into big rooms. So tell me, as this 18-year-old who has these 2 suitcases, you're trying to figure out life, what was your next step? How did you figure it out?
So I did have an internship. That was sort of my North Star. I had a place I could go to every day, and they were paying me, I think it was $4.25 an hour, which was minimum wage at the time. So I had that. I quickly had to figure out a place to live, and I crashed at my friend's dorm room for a month until My parents made a deal with a distant cousin of mine that I could sleep in her daughter's playroom. And so I think it was more about, okay, find one piece of stability and then work from there. So work and that small but important paycheck was kind of my stable thing while I found places to live. And then I really wanted to show the CEO that I'm going to work my butt off. And you're going to see that I'm valuable. You know, when I came in the first day, she was like, ugh, another young girl that this designer, you know, who is at the helm of the company has just let walk in this door. And I was like, I'm going to show you that you are going to be happy I walked through these doors. So I made it my mission to work really hard and put my head down and learn everything I could. Not only was that valuable for me, but they saw the value. And so they did then really hire me and promote me.
Oh, that's beautiful. And how do you differentiate? So we know that as women, we tend to have to work very hard and we're always having to prove and we have to earn our keep, just generally, globally. You know, how, you want to ask? You want to? Hmm? Oh, I can continue. Yeah, how were you able to differentiate in the space? So you work hard, you're trying to stand out. The standards are very high. These people probably invalidate interns all the time. You know, you're gonna come, you're gonna go. How were you able to differentiate on top of working hard?
I think that when you put your attention on what you're doing and you say, this isn't my company, but I'm going to treat it as my company. I'm going to come to work every day as if this was, you know, what I started. And I think that mentality creates a different quality of work. And I think the more you can do that, if you do work for someone, they'll notice real quick. They'll be like, oh, I thought I was alone. I thought it was just me that had to lay all these bricks, but you're here too. Okay, let's do it together.
Yes.
So I think it's that, okay, this is mine. And how would I handle it if it were my own?
Right. So it's about owning whatever role you step into.
100%. And we can't all go out and make companies. We might not all want to, but if we act like whatever we're doing is our company and have that pride and that hard work ethic, I can't imagine that you're going to be not rewarded for it.
Beautiful. Now, I'm joined by Michelle Gordon on set, and, you know, I've always admired her because she curates these great events and she always gets these fantastic speakers. And so for me, it was like, well, how did you find Rebecca Minkoff? Much less, what did she do that completely, you know, knocked you off your feet or took your breath away that, you know, you had to get her on this particular conference. So the question is, how did you and Michelle like find each other?
Instagram. She slid into my DMs, right?
We met first in it was what, 2 years ago. We were at beaches.
At Turks.
In Turks.
At beaches.
Correct.
Yeah.
And what struck me about Rebecca was an incredible humility.
Yes.
For someone so big, someone who has a global reputation, she was so next door.
Yes.
You know, she was very down to earth, very approachable, and that was very impressive to me. So when we eventually reconnected, a couple of weeks ago, I sent her a DM and she responded. I'm like, okay, is this a bot?
Yes.
But it was her, you know. So it was just great to see that achieving this level of success is not just for. It can happen to anybody.
Yes.
And Rebecca kind of brought that home to me. And you know, I had a Rebecca Minkoff bag already that, you know, I'm like, is this the same person?
Right.
And you make the connection, and it's just a great feeling because it makes me feel like, hold on, but I can do it too.
Yes.
You know, and all it takes is just that belief that if I want it,
Yes.
be excellent at it. And as Rebecca's book is going to tell us, just be fearless and be fearless.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Rebecca, do you think that there's an unfair misconception out there that, you know, for us to be good leaders, and when I say us, I mean, you know, women, for us to be good leaders, we usually have attitude problems? Or can we, in fact, be great leaders, garner respect from our peers, our colleagues, our board of directors, and still get the job done?
So I think that sadly, that whatever's been put on women to have that attitude has been put on us by women. And that's the part that breaks my heart the most, is other women tearing each other down. You know, it happened to me a long time ago where I was being very direct about what I wanted. And I was being very, you know, short with what I wanted because I was frustrated. And a woman that worked for me said, "Are you on your period?"
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, "What? This has nothing to do with it. It has to do with the fact that you didn't get your job done." And I didn't say this, but I think we all need to switch the mentality. If someone works for you, you're paying them to show up and do a job and do it well. It's not a charity. It's not a handout.
Absolutely.
And so I think that there's a way that women can lead and be powerful. They can be vulnerable. They can be caring, but they can also call people out on their, you know what.
Absolutely.
And I think that when that happens, it's on the woman who it happened to say, you don't get to do that today. I'm allowed to be, you know, fearless leader, strong, tolerant, and vulnerable. And it's sort of understanding yourself to know which lever are you pulling when. And I think COVID really changed that for me as a leader, because my empathy for what my staff were going through, you know, the fear of COVID, being sick, you know, we all had to take pay cuts, you know, all the stuff that was happening, you know, I was over indexing on tolerance and vulnerability and being really understanding when people, like, work wasn't the first thing on people's minds. But then as we are going out of this pandemic, you know, I'm like, all right, let's get focused. Let's get back to work. Let's work our asses off and let's have the reward. So I think a great leader knows when to push and when to sort of open their arms.
Right. And Rebecca, I mean, we're looking at your, you know, the length and depth of your brand. You know, it is global. You are up there. Do you still encounter issues that, you know, we always hear about, you know, the patriarchy, where you walk into meetings? These are important meetings, whether it's a deal, whether it's distribution, whether it's a new line. Do you find that no matter how well you do and how much you've earned your keep, there are still persons who would question your worth and your value?
So my experience is slightly not biased, but I guess I've always had my brother as my co-founder. So we've always been in those meetings together. So I can't answer you and say it didn't happen because he was in the room.
Yes.
Or it just didn't happen because my mother, when I was born, it was my two older brothers and then me. They didn't know I was a girl. It was like, oh, I'm going to teach you to be tough. So I walk into those rooms without the idea that that's going to happen.
Yes.
And so I think that's the real reason. I don't think it's because my brother's there, but I think, you know, you can sort of, I don't know if people can remember times where they manifest their fear.
Yes.
And so I think if you go in pushing that fear to the side, I am strong, I am powerful, I am awesome, whatever you need to tell yourself, you'll hold yourself differently. And you might feel that the respect you get because of that decision you made in your mind before you walk into the room might be that the treatment is different. And I'm not saying that works 100% of the time. I know more than enough women who've experienced bias and unfair. And the thing that the signal thing is, you know, anyone who's wanted change has had to stick their neck out.
Yes.
So if you go into a boardroom and you're pregnant and the man makes some joke, or I don't want to invest in you because you're going to have a baby, it's on you to call that man out. You might not get an investment, but who wants an investment from a man like that? So
Absolutely.
I think, you know, you have to sort of get comfortable with sticking your neck out, as so many women have done in our history, to get progress.
Absolutely. I have a question here from one of our participants, Stephanie from Jamaica. Thank you for participating. And she says, or she asks, as a boss mom, how do you approach managing your mental health along with that of your family and your work teams during this period of the COVID pandemic? Very good question. You're expected to be everything. So how do you deal with everything and put your mental health at focus or in focus?
So a couple things. One, obviously, everyone was struggling during this time. I think after the first week, I realized the only way I'm going to getting out of this house is if I exercise. And so I made it a daily mantra that I had to get out of the house to do something for myself, even if it was 15, 20 minutes. That was helpful. I think when I reach peak frustration, I go for a walk, not with my phone, and I look around the environment and I sort of take in the world I'm in. I'm not going to lie to you. I screamed at my children more in their lives during the pandemic than I ever have. And so it became a test of my will of, my daughter's going to drive me crazy. Take that deep breath, leave the room if you have to, wink to the partner that mom's about to explode. But I think, the walks and the exercise for me and that time for myself, whatever it is you do have helped.
Right. And it definitely helps you to escape. I think it's fantastic though when you can recognize that something is changing within you. That you are being frustrated, you're responding or reacting in a way that you wouldn't normally or typically do, and to recognize that and then to try to adjust it as quickly as possible, not only for yourself, but the persons who are around you as well. I have another question here that says, what or who influenced you to pursue your current occupation or field of interest? Was it a what or was it a who?
It was a who. It was my mom. I wanted a dress when I was 8 years old, and I just thought, oh, she'll buy it for me. It's not that much money. It's $20. And she said, no, I won't buy it for you, but I'll teach you how to make it. And I was so incredibly frustrated. I just wanted her to buy me that damn dress. Just buy it. And so, the minute I got my hands on a sewing machine and I felt like, oh my gosh, I can create something out of nothing. I can go buy fabric or I can alter garments, was incredibly powerful for me and gave me a ton of confidence. So it was something that I then got addicted to.
Yes.
And so I credit her.
Oh my goodness, that is absolutely fantastic. So we hear about you, or how we've described, or how you describe your brand is affordable luxury, which tells me that you like the fact that it should be accessible. People should be able to enjoy and feel and connect and engage with your brand. And now you are going to be an author. So tell me, how do you feel now entering into that space as an author? And what inspired this book and why now?
So I think that I wanted to write a book, but I vowed that I would never be the designer that gave you a coffee table book. Who needs another coffee table book that your children spill all their juice on? Not me. So I couldn't figure out what I could give that would be valuable. And another author, a friend of mine, Nicole Lappin, suggested, she said, not only do you have 20 years of incredible experience in the industry, and you could tell a great story, but you have a lot of hard-won knowledge that you could share. And that for me was what set me off, because I want to help women. I want to support them. I want more women to succeed. So if I can do that with a book, count me in. I started writing it before the pandemic, and then the pandemic hit. And what was interesting is, as I'm going back 20 years to remember what it felt like to start over, I was literally starting over with my company. We got hit extraordinarily hard. 70% of our business evaporated overnight, and we had to figure out how to just survive as a company. And so as I'm writing about all the grit and all the struggle in the beginning, I'm like, oh my God, it's like 20 years is now.
Yes.
So I think it was, in a way, good timing that I could sort of go back to what made my business succeed in the beginning and apply those same theories. And then hopefully when you get and read the book, you can actually take a lot from it. You don't have to be in fashion. You don't have to be an entrepreneur. All the rules I'm giving you will help you no matter what.
That's beautiful. You spoke about being hit. And I think a lot of the times when persons see luxury brands, they just kind of assume, they're luxury brands. I mean, they can afford it. It's pandemic, but they're fine. And I think what you just did was you just kind of gave us a reality check that it didn't really matter who you were or who you are or what at what level you might have been playing at in the market. The fact of the matter is that everyone was vulnerable. And as a leader, you said, for example, that you became more empathetic because you now have to understand what your staff members are going through. But then there's still hard decisions that you have to make. How did you go about making those decisions, whether it is cutting a processing line, or I don't really know what it is you guys have to think about, but how did you process and put together all the pieces when it came to making the very hard decisions in relation to the pandemic?
So it quickly became about how much can our site generate daily, and
Yes.
what does that look like over the course of a year, and what size company in terms of team and staff and spend does that have to be to just cover payroll, cover our existing bills and the bills we're going to be, needing, keeping our website going, electricity, etc. And what is the bare minimum? Like, what is the lowest amount of money we can do every day?
Yes.
And then rebuilt that entire budget. Had to unfortunately lay off staff that were related to the wholesale business that evaporated, which was the worst part of my journey as a founder, was letting family members go. And then we lived and died by our numbers every day. And then you were like, how do we get people's attention in a pandemic to buy a bag when we might all be dying from this, COVID?
Correct.
So it was tricky. And it was towing the fine line of being understanding with what your customer is going through, but also saying, I'd like to stay in business. And I spoke with a sales coach, and she changed my perspective, because she said, outside of the people that are getting sick with the illness, the biggest people that are suffering are small businesses. And we are the backbone of America. So do not apologize for selling your products. Do not apologize for promoting. Because if you go down, it's not just you, it's everyone you employ, it's their families, it's their livelihood, and that has a trickle-down effect. So after I spoke to her, I became very emphatic of small businesses need to survive, whether it's in Jamaica or America, and we are the backbone of Main Street, Main Street, as they say.
Correct.
And so that changed my perspective of not apologizing for trying to stay in business.
Oh no, that's absolutely beautiful, and I think it definitely gives us a lot of perspective. A lot of businesses and business owners were made to feel guilty, about trying to stay alive, and I don't think it was necessarily that they were tone deaf, but as you rightfully said, we have families, everyone has bills, and regardless of the pandemic, bills still came. Debt, you still had to pay, and even though we had financial institutions that gave you more time, we still had to pay those bills. So that's an awesome perspective. Now, you mentioned a sales coach. How important is it for you as a boss mom to still invest in knowledge exchange, understanding that even though you are the boss and you have clearly done very well for, in 20 years, you have a global brand, and yet you still need to check in with other persons who may know more than you? How important is that?
It
in your
is
personal development?
the most important. It is, you are going to be the one at the end of the day. You're the one holding things up. So the more you can get your own education, enhancement, coaching, peer mentorship, the better, because you're going to be the leader, and leaders who stop leading and stop evolving aren't great leaders anymore. So I'm constantly trying to change my mind, change my perspective, and meet women that are inspiring, or talk to sales coaches or business coaches to make sure that as a leader, I'm thinking through things the right way.
Right. No, absolutely. Thank you so very much. I'm going to throw over to Michelle, because I think it's only fitting that you announce to the participants, since we have Rebecca online right now, what's real cool. I'm going to hand it over to you.
I think all night Terry has been doing a whole bunch of giveaways, and it is my honor and my pleasure to let all of our participants know, those who have won prizes, because Terry has been saying, and you're the winner of a prize, but nobody knows what the prize is. So Rebecca's book hits newsstands on the 15th of June, and all of those moms who have won will be getting a book.
Oh, very
So
nice.
we're very excited to partner with Beaches and also Rebecca on this one, and all of our moms will be getting a copy of Fearless.
Very nice.
So, well, I personally can't wait
Very
to
nice.
read
There
this
it
book.
is.
There we go.
So, wow, the production crew is clapping and everything.
So,
Oh,
yeah, we're very
beautiful.
excited about that. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you to Beaches for just making this whole thing possible. And I'm dying to get my hands on the book. So as soon as it's out, so the moms who want, we'll be in touch with you to get your addresses, and we'll get those books to you. Very exciting, Fearless, because I think this is a time for us to fear less.
Less.
So Rebecca, thank you for that.
Thank you.
We need it. There could not be a better time.
No, absolutely. And so I just want to make sure, I just want to big up my participants in the group because you see, sometimes when you show up for yourselves, you want the knowledge exchange, you crave new information. You just never know the opportunities that lie there. And so all of you participants, I just want to make sure that you're dropping in the chat. I see people smiling. I see somebody looking like, yeah, they just won $1 million. Yeah, I see you, girl. I see you. Make sure that you let us know how you feel about it. Certainly, I think one of the biggest things that hold us back as human beings, but as women in particular, is just our fear to challenge, our fear to speak up, our fear to step into our greatness, our fear to be like, yeah, I'm awesome, without feeling guilty. And I am sure that when we read this book, we will understand that fear does not go away. It's human nature for our bodies and our brain to want to keep us safe and to keep us in our comfort zone, like we were built for that. But that there is the capacity for us to step out and do it anyway and see what is on the other side of
big.
fear. And that's what we're asking everyone to do, to think big. So, Rebecca, my last question to you. Who do you think of, or what do you think of, or what is your definition of a boss mom?
Ooh, I think a definition of a boss mom is a woman who is incredible as a leader at home
Yes.
and in work.
Yes.
She is one that communicates, and if she has to over communicate, she does it, because I know that the signal difference that, sorry.
You're back. You're back.
Sorry. Wi-Fi here is not good. The signal difference between, getting your partner, if you have a partner, in your relationship or your business, is communication. And so, when I met my husband, it was, what do I need and want from him?
Yes.
What does he need and want from me? When I started my company, I did the same with my brother. And as you evolve, you might need to do those check-in points when you have a kid or another baby or a third baby. And I think it's really important that you keep that open communication line with each other, because that's how you'll succeed, whether it's business or personal. So a boss mom is excellent at communicating. And if she's not, she gets help, and she gets help fast. And be fearless for what you want. You deserve it. You were put on this earth, and you deserve everything that you were dreaming about. And like you said, fear is an emotion that we can't get rid of or delete. Yep. Sorry, guys. Fear is an emotion that you can't get rid of or delete, but you can do it anyways. So take the risk.
Well, listen, Rebecca Minkoff, thank you so very much. We always see the brand, but it's also very nice to see the person behind the brand. And what's even nicer is that you are a sweetheart. Like, I feel as if I've known you forever, and you've been my friend forever. And we just thank you for just being so candid, so real, so candid, and just giving us a little glimpse of what's like to be a boss mom who is fearless. Congratulations on your book. I know that everybody can pre-order now for persons who are going to find out that your book is coming. And we just want to wish you all the best. We pray that it will be like a New York, bestseller. It's going to be up there. And that your story will help to impact people around the world, especially our other boss moms, So we just want to say thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your conversation. And definitely thank you for the gifts on behalf of all of our participants. And when we get our books, I'm sure we'll take our photos and we will put our hashtag BossMom and tag you. So be safe. All the best to you, your company, your staff, and your family for 2021 and beyond.
Thank you so much for having me, and I will see you in Jamaica.
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely. We'll drink these Simply signature cocktails. Take care, Rebecca. Thank you so very much.
Bye.